All right, so big month, big month of OMG intensive. In this module, I talk about that the people in your life, they play a role. They play a role to get you to either need them, which stems from the love component, or they play a role to get you to be afraid of them or hate them, which stems under the word fear. This is what we talk about love and fear in duality. Now, if you want to see your own role, because there is the role that everyone is playing with you, right? And some of the need, by the way, feels amazing. Like you feel love there, but then you need the love. Just to clarify. If you want to see your own role, it's exactly the same. It takes a moment to actually observe and witness how you, and in that module I talk about you're either manifesting or you're manipulating. You're either manipulating or you're manifesting. So what do I mean by manipulating? All right? You are manipulating the people in your life when you are playing a role to either need you, right, or love you, or to hate you, or to fear you. This is the same, it's the same principles. Have a look at the things in your life where you are, and this is happening completely unconsciously. If you want to look at the roles, that's what it looks like. Okay, what we didn't discuss in that module is we talked about how everyone else is playing a role. If you want to know how you play a role, that's where it comes into place. Anyway, I can't simplify that more than that. Well, I can, but we'll open up for Q&As. We'll get some of where you guys are at, and then I'll see what comes out from me. Okay, we'll see what comes up, and I could probably give you more reference points. Anyway, where are you guys at? How did you go with listening to that module? What happened for you? What did you see? What are you laughing at, Kim?
No, that's very funny. I feel something hasn't completely landed for me, and I've spent a bit of time pondering. I've listened to it a couple of times, 3 times, and I don't know if it's because I'm trying to, like with some of the stuff people were talking about on the group, trying to make it fit to give it like a meaning or something versus just letting it be. Can I give you the example?
Yeah,
I think
please.
that's probably the easiest way to do it.
Yep.
So in my story, there was a particular person that played a very big part, let's call it 5 to 10 years ago. They're a very big part of my story.
Yep.
The example of the story is that I haven't had any contact with this person for about 5 years now at all. And recently, in the last kind of 2 weeks, this person has reached out to me twice to make contact. And in the past, in the story, the 5 to 10 years ago, they definitely played a role in terms of me needing them, me fearing them, me hating them. Like there was a lot of stuff there. And I don't feel that when I am at the stage at the moment that I need anything from them, I fear anything, or I hate anything from them. So then I put that aside and go, okay, well then what's the truth of the situation? Because I don't feel like there's anything that I actively want to participate in or respond. So then I don't know if I'm confusing myself because I'm going, well, if it's the one and it's myself reflecting through this person, am I trying to tell myself something, or am I just trying to go, well, now I'm actually to participate or not participate however I want with no residue.
So ask the question again.
So the question is, I don't feel like literally anything towards the situation, like in terms of, I don't feel like they're needing to play a role with me, or I don't feel like I'm fearing them or hating them or anything like that. If I look at, okay, well, what role are they playing for me? I feel like if it was a couple of years ago, I would have so much there, but I don't feel any of that. And so then I kind of look at it when you go like pull the curtains away and see what the truth of the situation actually is. Like if it's myself, like, and they're one reflecting back at me.
Yeah.
Am I trying to look into something and go, well, what is that trying to tell me? Or am I actually just choosing how I want to participate or not participate in this step moving forward?
Just forget about you got your hand up, Johnny? Yeah, what's up?
What's coming to mind is, you say it's not about the reflection, it's how the reflection makes you feel. That's what I keep hearing as Kim's talking there. I don't think there's that awareness.
So, which is a good point. In the module of reflection, we understand that it's not what they're reflecting, it's how it's causing you to feel. But it sounds like how you feel about it is you're quite, you're neither here or there.
Yeah, no, like when I originally got the contact, it made me laugh a bit. Like it actually made me feel quite light, which was quite a funny response for me. But then, yeah, I just don't feel anything about it. Like it's very like mediocre.
So then,
and I don't.
So within that space, within that state, you're free to respond how you feel to respond rather than react, which is where you want to be. So how do you feel to respond?
I just don't.
Then don't.
Okay. So it's not that I'm looking for a reflection of myself. It's just how does it make me feel? And then I go on that.
The reflection, right? The indirect reflection is how are they causing you to feel? Like you're not having a reaction of anything, right? So then now you're free to respond however you feel to respond. And if you don't feel to respond in any way, then don't.
Okay.
If you feel to respond, respond. If you feel to explore it, explore it. The point is you're not doing it with a reaction. It's not a reactional response.
Okay.
What else? What are you looking for, Kim?
Well, that's the part I don't know. That's why I feel like in the pondering, am I trying to make it something more than actually what it truly is? Because I'm looking for it to be something or some kind of reflection.
Yeah, maybe. It sounds like you're trying to, as some people call it, zogi it. My mum says that. I zogi it. I'm trying to zogi it. What is it? You're trying to bring but it's. I mean, putting myself in your position, if I was feeling neutral about it or neither here or there about it, then I'm free to respond accordingly to how I feel.
Okay.
Yes, Jamie.
Just in relation to a question with what she's asking. So years ago, say having someone in that life, she would have felt more reactive and therefore processing her indirect emotions, right? Which has been great. Would you now say the state in which she's re-met or had contact with this person is more a truer state of unconditional love than when she was in a relationship years prior to that?
Well,
because she's now more free to actually respond.
She's free to now see the hand that's moving the puppet, if you like, the hand that's in the glove. She's free to now, if she chooses to, see who that person was that was playing that role. Where, because she doesn't have the emotions or the charges or reactions from it anymore, it's no longer a disowned part. So if she chooses to, she's free to actually see who's that really playing that role.
So is that's my question, is that more a experience of true unconditional love than before when she was emotionally responding. You think you're in love, but it's actually your emotional reactions to the person. Do you understand what I'm asking?
Well, I don't know exactly what the story of it is, but the unconditional love that you're talking about is what you experience when she sees who was playing that role.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So it's that I'm seeing that it was me playing that out. Well, the one.
It's
like,
you as the one
yeah.
playing the role.
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys want to break this down to the more illusion point of view, I'm just showing you a more, I guess, truth point of view from the illusion, which is more the scientific, we're not really even here kind of thing. Who is that person? From the illusion point of view, which is not an angle I want to go with right now, there is no person playing that role.
Yeah.
Do you understand? If you want me to go to the, the whole Robert Scheinfeld illusion kind of path, some of you have heard me talk about Robert before. There is no, what person are you talking about? What are you talking about? Right? But from my perspective, the way I choose to see it, it's that the individual, the illusion is the separation. When you realize that the illusion is a separation, you realize who was playing that role.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, as I feel what you're saying, Jamie, it's all come around and it's me realizing there's absolutely no separation in any of that.
Yeah.
It's like you were this finger and he was this finger. And you lift the glove out and you realize we're from the same hand.
Yeah.
How can you chop that finger off now? I mean, not that you want to now anyway, because you don't have that charge.
Yeah.
But you heard me talk about the example in the WTF when I talk about a girlfriend I had at a time where I walked into the house and there was someone who broke into the house who tried to rape her. I took it to my mum and my mum says, you need to love him. And she goes, love who? And she goes, the guy that tried to rape you. And she goes, how can I love him? Do you remember that story? Are we all, And then she's like, why would I love the rapist? She's like, he's not. And she goes, if this happened to your brother and your brother, something came over him and he went and he raped a girl and you went to jail, when you go to jail, would you still love your brother? And she said, yes, I would. And she goes, why? Why would you love your brother? He's a rapist. She goes, because he's still my brother. We come from the same family. The rapist is your brother too. I mean, I don't know. Is that in the WTF recording? I don't know if that's actually in there, but it is. Jeez, I hope my ex-girlfriend never watches that. But true story though. That's the way my mum explained it. And again, it's not really, I'm not connecting to that space to deliver that, but I'm just reminding you of that story. The whole point of this module of reflection is for you to be able to clear your view and see what you're really seeing, is for you to be able to pull the curtain behind. There is no one else but you, Kim. And when I say there's no one else but you, Kim, I'm talking to the big Kim. Because the moment you're the little Kim, there's lots of versions of you. There's August, there's John, there's Evelyn, there's Harold. There's lots of different versions of you. And now you've become a light of the disco ball. And you're seeing all the lights, but the lights all came from the same place. They're all being reflected from the one ball. This idea of what I'm trying to get you guys to do is the greatest form of reclaiming power. In month 1, I talked to you guys about reclaiming power. That is a process for the ego. It's a little bit heady. You're just trying to get to the feeling. What you guys are learning to do in the second months of OMG, or the second half of OMG, we're starting from reflections. We're almost starting the second half. Especially in the OMG intensive modules, not in the OMG modules, you're learning how to reclaim power with your soul. That's what you're learning. You're learning, but it's not a step-by-step process. What you're gathering over the next few months, you'll be gathering how to reclaim power with your soul. So when people would ask me, do you reclaim power? I would say with them, no, I don't. I don't do that process. I mean, at one stage I did, but I don't do that process anymore. What I do now is what I'm teaching you. Who is that? Like the moment you pull the curtain, if you have the ability, what stops you from pulling the curtain away? Emotions. You need to go reclaim power. You have an emotional charge. But where you're at right now, you can actually pull the curtain back if you wanted to. Question is, do you want to? and you know what your fear of? Your fear is, as the soul, why you don't want to? The fear of the soul is the fear of the enormity of the love that you'll find when you pull the curtain back. The fear of the ego is the fear of not being loved. That's the difference. This is things that you're going to start picking up in over this next 6 months. This is the soul's work.
So question on that. When you say, do you really want to pull the curtain back?
Yeah.
Right? And the answer is yes. Then where to from there?
It's not a how to or where to. You will do it. But to be honest, sometimes you say yes and you don't really mean it. Like, and I talk about this further up ahead in the future OMGs around meaning. Sometimes I say like, it's like pulling the curtain back. It's like seeing a tail sticking out of the bush. Like if you're walking on a footpath and there's a bush and there's a tail that belongs to some animal. You don't know what animal, it's a tail. You just see a tail. The question is, are you going to grab that tail and pull the tail out to see what it's attached to? It's kind of like that. Like the enormity of the love. And that's why, again, you'll start to see all this stuff as you do the second half of OMG Intensive. You know, you'll come to realize our greatest fear is love itself. In OMG, we learn our greatest fear was not being loved, because that's the ego's fear. But as we come onto this phase of the work, which is the phase 2, phase 3 kind of content, you start to realize, oh, my fear was not being loved. My fear was the enormity of the love. So what I was saying with the view, like, remember I was talking about the view, you are now standing back here. Your entire reality, the whole physical world, all the planets, the atmosphere, the entire universe is in front of you. That is the drop. That drop you thought was the universe. You thought that was the universe. But the universe is the one that is observing that. It's the one that is watching that, and it is watching it from back here, and it was beautifully drawn by Cam, where she drew a hand holding the drop. Can you imagine the size of that? You can't even fathom it, because, like, can you imagine the size of who you really are, Kim?
When you say it like that, like, probably not.
That's the enormity. When I say the enormity, that's the enormity. Because you think, how big is this world that I live in? This universe, the galaxy, and the universe is infinite. And that is the drop of the ocean. Can you imagine the size of what I'm actually talking about? You can't. It's huge. That's the view. Be careful you don't move your hand to be very gentle. One little hand movement will create an earthquake. One little hand, forget the earthquake, a planet will move. Do you know, like, I mean, that's how much power you have, and that's the enormity of the love. Now, for you to understand that, Harold, you need to understand maybe an internal and external. But because when you realize that, right, you perceive what you're looking as the internal, where you're viewing from as the external. And that's why the view flips. What you perceived your outside world to be the outside is not your outside. The outside world is your inside. Anyway, thanks, Kim. Come on, guys, let's go. Let's work. Let's ponder. Sarah Marie.
Yeah. No, thank you for the question, Kim. Because during my pondering as well, I would like to feel the love I have for myself as the one, even in a role like Hitler. And so my question is, I work for it, but I can't force myself to have realizations. I mean, I can't be somewhere that I'm not. So my question is, I work for it, and then when it drops in and I feel that, it'll drop in. You know, I can't force it. I want to feel the love for if I'm not feeling it yet. But I would love to feel the love that I have for myself, even in Hitler. Right? It was just something I was pondering on.
Hitler, the coronavirus, whatever you want. Like, but most important thing to do, I mean, the easiest thing to do is to start seeing in nature. It's the easiest thing to do because Hitler has massive charges, and his role was to block people's view for many years after he's passed on. Do you know how many people's views are blocked because of him right now? Do you know why the view is blocked? 2 reasons. One is to experience your world in separation. You came here to be experiencing separation. Why? Because when you become infinite, there can be 2 infinites. That's one of the roles. Then the role is for you to realize where you thought your answer, what you're looking for, was outside of you, it's not there. So it is for you to perceive you are small, but then for you to experience or find your grandness, your infiniteness, if you like, in the small. Rumi said, you are not the drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean in the drop. The role is to block you so you can perceive separation. The moment you perceive separation, your ego comes into play and it has a role. Then you play that role and you think everything, all the power is outside of you until your path changes. Harold got to that path. He's like, why the fuck is the one fucking with me? Well, it was for you to experience separation. Now that you've experienced separation, Harold got to a point of going, that ain't the answer I'm looking for. So then you start looking in yourself. And that's where the work starts. And you have this internal process that, as we know, the second in phase 2 or phase 3 more, it's about coming outside. So what are you doing when you're coming outside? Who's Hitler? Who's this? And like I said, you're going to the fucking extreme. But forget about what Hitler's done. If you want to look at that, look at what he's continuing to do. He's continuing to keep the mind closed because there is a continuation of hatred. I hate him. Well, guess what? He's supporting you keeping your mind closed. You either need him, hate him, or fear him. You don't fear him now because in your existence he's not here to, maybe you fear Trump or the Russians, I don't know, whatever it is you're into. Or the Chinese, I don't know. Right? Whatever game you're into playing, right? But you still hate him. There's a lot of hatred for him. What does that do? I mean, someone might hear this one day and go, well, of course there's a lot of hatred for them. How is hatred going to get you to love? Just ask your fucking self that question. How is hatred going to get you to love? It's not. It's taking you away from it. Okay, well, have fun with that, my friend. You know, when I used to speak on stage and I would, Hitler would come up all the time and someone would bring it up. What about Hitler? What about, the Nazis? What about, the Holocaust? Always would come up. Right? And it's like, geez, I'm at the WTF level. I'm like, where do I go with this? Right? But I would always tell them, look, your judgment of that, you have a judgment of that, right? Well, yes, but my judgment is justified. Okay, your judgment is justified. But how is your judgment serving you to find love? The only way it serves you to find to love is by releasing that judgment. It's like the coronavirus. Some people not attacked me, but they would pose questions. I'm talking about I'm inspired about the coronavirus. Some people were like, well, I'd like to see how inspired you are if you get the coronavirus, or they would pose questions. Well, how would you feel if one of your family had corona? How would you feel they would pose questions? It's almost like they want me to be in fear with them. It's like, hey, I'm not in fear, right? But then people are like, well, you should be. You should join me. We should join forces in fear. We should be fucking afraid. And my question to them is, how is that serving you? And I would respond to them. I don't ignore them. How is you being afraid or me joining you in fear going to serve you or the world? If anything, it's going to make you more open to the virus. There's one thing that nobody can take you away from you right now, and that is your view. I could choose to love or I can choose to fear. You want me to join you in fear? How is that going to serve you or your reality or your world? Or suddenly they feel like, well, I feel like we belong. Like there's a belonging. If we're all in fear, then we have a sense of belonging together. So look, Sarah Marie, you've gone for the big one. It's a big curtain, okay? It's a very, very big, heavy curtain. And that's why sometimes I recommend people to start with nature. I look at nature, like you look at nature. I follow all these nature things on my Instagram, right? I force myself to watch it, right? No, I don't want to say I mean, it's beautiful. But sometimes they show this, like this lion attacking something else. So the other day I was watching a lion getting attacked by 20 hyenas. And you're watching that, you're like, go, come on, get it. And you're fighting for the lion or, whatever. Or you're seeing this little bird running across the beach to get into the water, or the penguin, and it's getting eaten by the foxes or whatever. But that's the circle of life. Okay? And even that circle of life, I get a little, poor deer. Oh, and you see the lions and they attack the deer, and the deer's like a baby deer maybe, and your heart just breaks and you're like, oh. And that's nature. Find the acceptance, see the one, see the role there, then rise it up. Next one is the environment. Mother Nature. Then the next one is human fucking beings. they're the ones where you have greatest charges and judgments. When I was talking about nature, I was talking, the fires that happen in Australia, for example, the tsunami or a volcano erupting.
And just in connection to that, what is coming up for me these days as well, really, that my safety or feeling of certainty doesn't come from the outside, it comes from who I am. And the journey to discover that and all the things that have to come up in order for me to realize that.
Yeah. Like all the roles that had to be played with you. Like little stabs here, little stab. Why is the one fucking with me? Says Harold. Little stab here, little stab here, for you to realize, for you to go back inside and go, oh, somebody plays the role to nurture you and give you love. But then that same person who you had so much trust with, right? Their role changes to give you a fucking slap in the face and go, wrong. It wasn't me that was giving you the love. How many times have you experienced that in your life? Your own fucking mother, your own fucking sister, your own fucking brother, your cousin, your own business partner, your own fucking wife, your fucking husband. They suddenly, their role changes from this nice, nurturing person to just going, that's the one fucking with you. To go, oh, you thought that was your sister loving you? Oh, you thought that was your mother? Oh, you thought your business partner, you thought your boss, your company is what pays you the money? Let's remove the flaw from their reality. Everything, you put power in all these things outside of you, and then they fuck with you. Just so Harold can realize that's not where the answer is. And then you feel appreciation. You're like, wow, what did I say? For people to realize what love is, they must realize what love is not. The first part of this journey is realizing what love is not. Love is the enormity of love that we keep talking about. So there's the roles. Now, when you're at first, and this is what I noticed when I was observing you guys, also observing the guys that I was recording with, the FTW guys, at first, all you're thinking about is the roles other people are playing. You're not witnessing your own roles. Notice how you play that role. So the role was to either get you to, it's either love or fear. Now, the love was to need to be needed, right? The fear was to be afraid, have fear, or to hatred. By the way, what I'm talking about, there is governments or institutions who know this, how this works, and they use this to control you. Did you not know that? How do you control the masses? With fear. If you want them to do something, you have to herd the masses with fear, right? But before you go into the whole, what's the word I'm looking for?
Conspiracy theory.
Before you go into the whole conspiracy theory, please understand that's not the fucking leader of the world, the leader of this country, or leader that playing that role. That's the one. But sound familiar? They're hurting you with fear. Now, the problem is people see it as that person X. Person X is controlling us with fear. No. It's the one, baby. It's the one. And then you love person X. You're like, wow, virus came in. I loved the virus. Couldn't say it too much publicly because I knew what it was. Look at this coming in, putting the whole world at their fucking knees. You thought you had power? I chopped your fucking knee. Put you on your knees. Where's all your money? Where's all your fucking goals? Where's all these things that you were going to do? You're forced on your knees. What's on your knees? The earth, the ground, the moment. Now, some people will find that while they're on their knees. others will get on their back like a cockroach and be like, get me back up, get me back up. And that's what's happening in their life. They're like a cockroach. Orlando does that sometimes. He pretends he's a cockroach, he lies on his back and he does this thing. But that's what some people are doing. Others are on their knees. And while they're down there, they're touching the floor, they're touching the earth. And the earth is a metaphor. They're touching their soul, their groundedness. Your groundedness is where your soul is. So before you go into the whole, conspiracy theories, conspiracy, misspiracy, I don't care. It's the one. So still there's no fear. You want to learn about, what's his name? What's his name? I forgot his name already.
Hitler?
Hitler. He's not even in my mind to even contemplate. You want to learn about Hitler? Just look around you. Right? But don't get fooled and think it's Trump or Shrump or Dump or, don't get fooled. Like sometimes because people get so fooled, the one makes it into a bit of a joke a little bit for you to go, did he fucking just say that? Did he fuck? Like it's almost like just to show you, hey, it is a puppet. Guys, stop falling for it. Look, I even stand and look like a puppet and act like a puppet. And you're like, oh my God. The other one, the Korean leader. Like you're just like, you could laugh. Like the one is even, like it's even made it easy for you to go, guys. Like even Hitler, I mean, you won't laugh at what he's done, but it's almost like, when you make a puppet, you have to make it like funny eyes or funny hair, It's like, it's almost like it's done it for you to go, hey, don't be fooled, Sarah Marie. It's just me here. Just moving energy. Same thing with the virus. Hey, it's me, Sarah Marie. Just coming to clean out stuff that needs to be cleaned. And if you think to yourself, well, what if it's me that needs to be cleaned? You're seeing the virus. That's what this module is so profound. That's why we need to talk about it more, because that you have the ability to do what I see. It's like, what conspiracy? What income? What business? Business is a reflection of the relationship I have with myself. Well, then there's no more business now because the corona. No such thing. It's just changing form. It just changes form. The business or the lifestyle that I have is a reflection of the space I have. If my space isn't changing, it just changes form. Just changing form. All right. What are some of those questions that came up? Leah? You had a good question, I think. Now I forget what it was. I was going to answer it for you.
That's okay. If we could use the Hitler example that you just stated, and remember the two waves, they see each other, and if the one realizes it's the ocean. So can you do Hitler and as two waves? So I'm one wave, Hitler's the other wave. I, as the ocean, am able to, when I know that I'm the ocean, I'm able to move the external or move the energy.
Well, the most important thing before you want to move energy, for energy to be moved, there has to be energy there to be moved, as I've said in the past, right? The whole point of this is for you to see who is Hitler, right? If you realize who is Hitler, you will mirror back, or you'll be able to see yourself and who you are as not the little Leah, but as the big Leah. Do you understand that? That's what I mean by the two waves rising, right? If one wave can see who that wave is, that wave will then reflect who you are. Okay?
That wave as Hitler?
Yes. If you can pull the curtain back and not see the role they play, right? But see why, first you see why they're playing that role. Okay? The why is they're creating you to hate him. Okay? The moment you hate, curtains closed. You won't be able to see. Okay? So that if you can see why they're playing the role, then you can see who is playing the role. So that's the order of things. Then when you can see who's playing the role, it's like the finger realizing, oh, this is, or the hand realizing there's another hand here. And the whole time, the two puppets were, you know, you've ever been to a puppet show?
Yeah.
So the two puppets have thought they were separate. And then it's like suddenly the curtain pulls aside and you realize, oh, it's me. It's me as the one, not me as this hand, not me as this finger, me as the one. I as the one. And there's nothing but love there. I mean, it's not loving that person per se, right? I mean, if you're in the story, you could say, I love that person. It's there is just love there. You start to experience that enormity of love. You experience love, but the love's just there. It's there for no reason. It's like when you're doing this work and you have something drop in, you feel this openness and you just feel love. That's what it's like, but at a much enormity level. The love is so enormous that you are afraid of it at first. You are afraid of it. You are afraid of love. Mandela was saying in his speech, wasn't he? We don't fear the darkness, we fear the light. We're going to continue this conversation. Like I realize, Cam, I'll come to you in a sec. I realize that, you know, I was going to give you content at the beginning and then I just realized, no, that ain't it. We just need to keep discussing it. But here's something to ponder on, all right? A lot of the times I've been talking to you about the role that others play for you, right? But I also say you're playing a role. Can you look at how you're playing a role? Now, what is the role others playing for you? They are either getting you to love them or fear them. Okay, again, love, you can have there's need, and you know, we probably should break that down. What different ways do you get people to love you? Or what, or don't even say, what am I getting people to love me? What different, how do you find different, how are you finding people finding love for you? How are you, is there people that fear you? Is there people that hate you? Right? Craig's like, hell yeah, I've got a big list, right? What I want you to do is contemplate, because you've been looking at how others play a role for you. How are you playing a role? That's what I'm trying to get you to look at. How do you play a role for others? Just wondering if we should ponder on that, because I noticed in the recording we never went into that. Hang on one sec, Jamie, because I had Cam first. But is it quick? Is it quick?
No, go to Cam. Oh, wait.
So just before Cam goes, I gave you an example of this with Kira. Kira still around? No, Kira's gone. Great, we can talk about it. I gave you this example. You know what? I'll save it for next week. It's not fair because I've gone way over time. But in the recording, someone remind me next week. in the recording, I talk about Kira going up to my mum and giving her a gift. And my mum said, no, thanks, I don't want your gift. Okay? I'll expand a bit more on that. I just noticed
that was my question, because I wanted to ask if you see the thing that popped up when you say see a role. Sorry, Cam. The thing that popped up is, do you remember when we used to have someone in the office when we first started who always wanted to give hugs in the morning? And I was like, no. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Because I could feel like there was a, so I was
wondering. It wasn't real. The hug wasn't real.
It wasn't fucking real. I don't feel to give a hug. So in that moment, if you see the role,
so why did you give them hugs?
I didn't feel to.
No, but why did you? I said.
Why did I give her a hug?
Yeah.
I didn't.
But there was a point where you did. You were like, oh.
Oh yeah, there was a point when okay, sorry. before I didn't.
So we had this one person in the office. This is when we had an office in Bondi. Every morning when you walk in, she would be like, hugs, and she'll run to everyone and give you hugs. And at the beginning you did, right? And then you got to a point and you went, look, to be honest, I don't want to hug, right? All right, I don't want to hug you in the mornings, walk into the office. So, but the question I'm giving to you, so your question is that because I'm seeing the role? Yes, you're right. But my question to you is, why did you continue to give hugs to her at the beginning? That was your role.
Okay. You're
going to start seeing the role there.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Okay, so look at why did you give hugs, or look at when you're not wanting to do something, right? But you still do it anyway. Why do you still do it? It's got to do with your role.
Yeah,
you'll start to see your own role. So in that example with Kira, now that we're talking about, with Kira coming and giving my mum a gift. This was we were coming back from, I don't know, Hawaii, somewhere, Thailand. I used to take my mum with me on these FTW trips, and Kira went up to my mum and gave her a gift, and my mum said no. She just walked away. She didn't say no, thank you. And I was standing there going, oh God, here we go, right? But my mum was like, no, right? And Kira's just like, like, so that example is because she was watching Kira. She wasn't seeing the one move Kira. She was seeing the role that Kira is playing. Now, what's the role that Kira's playing? Right? Receive love from someone she thinks is great. Do you understand? The role that she's playing there, which we never got to finish in the recording because for some reason I got sidetracked. I tend to do that, right? The role that she's playing there is for her to receive love, not love from someone, like love from a mother figure. Do you understand? And if you know, I wish Kira was here, but it's to receive love. Like if I can get the love from this woman who is great in her eyes, she's a great woman, right? Then I have self-value. That's the role Kira was playing. So when my mum sees the role, right? If she then plays a role herself, she would go, oh, thank you. Like Jamie giving that girl a hug every morning, right? But my mum doesn't play the role. So she just says, looks at it and goes, no, and walks away. Because my mum would only sit with someone who is like the feeling is moving them. She doesn't sit. Can you imagine you put yourself in this position where, imagine the Matrix, right? You know, in the movie The Matrix, when he goes into the Matrix, there is all these people. Now, those people don't have free will. They all are playing a role. Do you understand? So they're a computer, if you like, in the Matrix. They're all playing a role. They don't, there's no aliveness about them. So imagine you're in a world where you start to see everyone's role. At first, you don't want to sit down with them because you know if I sit down with Craig, just for an example, right? Then I'm just going to get bullshit from Craig. I'm going to get bullshit because Craig is just going to tell me what his role is. The role, which is what's the word? A conditioning. Craig's conditioning is going to respond. Craig's computer program is going to respond to me. Then you're like, well, I don't want to sit down with Craig. So at first, you start going like, if you're in the matrix, you don't even want to have sex with anyone. You'd be like, are they faking it? Is it just their programming that is telling them to do that, or is that really? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's probably a bad example. Sorry, Craig. Craig's like, why do I want to have sex with her? I just met a girl. That's what it's like. You start to see everyone's role. So you're probably thinking to yourself, well, that's pretty fucked up. But there's a transition period. He's like, what the fuck? That's just fucked up. It's a transition period. But that's what I'm just giving you what my mum was experiencing. All right? The role is to get your love. Right? If it was the one, right? That's different. If the feeling moved you, that's different. And that's what I want to talk about next week. How do you play a role? And I guess what's the difference when the feeling moves you? It wasn't explained in that recording, so it's probably a little bit new. It wasn't. We never got to it in that recording. All right, welcome. Here we go again. So yeah, I definitely thought it's worthy of spending some more time on this module. It's a module that is interlinked with so many of the other modules. I talk about how it's interlinked with manifestation really closely, but it's also interlinked with meaning and purpose and love. It's just, it kind of interweaves with the other modules. So definitely one that I'm keen to explore further on. So I really want to just make sure I just want to review what we've gone through over the month or so and just make sure that this is landing. Well, I just want to simplify it as much as I can. I just want to make sure I've done my part in ensuring that it is simplified in as much as I can. I can, as much as I can, I do my best just to simplify it. Obviously, the more I share this, the more reference points I have, I get better at simplifying it. But at this stage, I just want to check in and just make sure we're all on the same page. When we started this month by talking about our disowned parts, the reflection is either reflecting our disowned parts or our own parts, like the parts that we own, like it's a direct reflection, or the parts that are a complete reflection. I just want to make sure that we're on the same page when we're talking about the roles. Primarily the roles are all within your disowned parts. So when you see a disowned part, they will play a role for you. And they're playing a role for two reasons. One is to keep you unaware or unconscious. In other words, the curtain is closed. And remember, the reason why you want the curtain to be closed is for you to have the perception of separation. You're experiencing your duality. And through that duality, you can experience love and fear. But the other role, if you like, and we spoke about Harold arriving at this point last week, is when you realize that what you're looking for is not in that, you start to look for something bigger. You start to look for yourself and you're like, there's something more. This feels incomplete. This ain't it. It hasn't landed for you. So then you use the very same role to pull the curtain aside for you to be able to see the truth. In other words, you'll start to see your direct reflection, or if you take it even further, you'll start to see your complete reflection. So you're using the very same role. So that's why I said the one is playing a role. The role is designed for you to perceive the separation. And through that separation, you are experiencing love. And when I say love, we're talking about the need of love. And you're experiencing fear. And we talked about experiencing with anger or resentment or being afraid, okay? And people will play a role in order for you to love them in form of need, or they play a role in order for you to be angry with them, to be resentful towards them, to be afraid of them, which all stem from fear. But when you get to a point, and I talk about this in the WTF, and I'm trying to simplify it here for you. In the WTF, I say that when something happens to you, an event, an experience, you will either use that to become more conscious, or you will use that to fall deeper in being unconscious. This is back in the WTF times. So this is exactly the same thing. You're using the role, or the role is supporting you to stay unconscious, or even fall deeper into unconsciousness, if you like. Or you get to that place where you're like, there's something more, something's missing, something's incomplete. And you start to observe with awareness. You start to witness, and you dare to move the curtain aside. So you're using that same role that the one is playing, not to become unconscious, but you're using that to become conscious by moving the curtain aside, by asking those questions that I left with you. What is the role? It's what, why, and who. What is the role? The role is the role. What is the role? Is it there for me to become conscious or unconscious? Not that important. That's an important question right at the beginning. But you know where you're at. You're on the path of consciousness, so you know that always the role is to get you to become more conscious. Why are they playing that role? And who is playing that role? So you're using this manifestation, this game, right, that is designed to keep you unconscious, but you're using the same game to become conscious. Okay? You'll notice that I spoke about this last week, that you'll notice that through doing this, it becomes like a reclaiming power process. When you first started OMG, you learned about reclaiming power, but what you're doing there is you're reclaiming your power from the emotions. You have emotions enrolled in things, invested in things, and you're putting your power into things, and you learn how to reclaim your power. When you're doing this very same process, you realize it's very similar to the reclaiming power, but it's almost like it's reclaiming power for the soul, where when you were originally reclaiming power, you were reclaiming power from the ego. Okay? The ego's fear is the fear of not being loved. So it was all about not being loved. That's what all the reclaiming the power was all about, right? And if you're at this stage of your journey, which is, deep into OMG intensive, I should say. So you've probably been on this journey for over a year. If you're at this point of the journey right now, you'll notice that you may have less emotions rise up. Sure, we will all have some emotions pop up, but you'll find yourself back in the middle ground far easily than you used to at the beginning. Okay, when you first started this journey, there was a lot more reactions. We don't need to cover that. People, that's the biggest thing people say when they're on this journey. They go, I notice I'm not reacting to something as I used to. Or if you reacted to something because it was very big, you found yourself back in that middle ground in your center far quicker. So when you don't have that emotional reaction, you have the ability to be able to reclaim the power with the soul, if you like. I said the ego's fear is the fear of not being loved. The soul's fear is the enormity of the love. It's both got to do with love, but one is not having it because one is measuring itself through duality, through separation. The other one is seeing itself or potentially seeing itself. It's starting to see itself without separation. And suddenly there's this fear of the enormity of it. You fear your own power. You fear your own strength. You fear your own enormity. So every time you pull the curtain back and see who is playing that role, every time you see who is playing the role, it's almost like you are, it feels to me like a reclaiming power process. It's not though. It's really what you're doing. It's like you're starting to let more of your power in. The other one, you're reclaiming your power. This one, you are letting more of the power in. It's like the cup is floating in the ocean and the bottom of the bottom becomes bottomless. It melts away and you're starting to let more of the ocean in. You're starting to realize that you're not the drop. You're starting to realize you're the ocean. So that's why I say it's like a reclaiming power process, but it's not. One is reclaiming power. This one is allowing more of the love to be there, allowing more of the power to be there, allowing because you're starting to not to see or perceive your world of separation. You're starting to see the truth. Your view begins to change. And when your view begins to change, suddenly you realize that the illusion is the idea of being separate. Ultimately, the biggest role that I have experienced, and I think this is something you will also experience if you're not already, the biggest role is for me to experience acceptance. Ultimately, I mean, I'm talking about the role is there for me to be in need of something. The role is playing a role. The role is playing. And I say the one is playing a role for me to be afraid of something, to be angry towards something. So, right. But ultimately, when I start to, and when your journey changes, which it has for you guys, and you're starting to use what's happening for you, the people that come into your life, the circumstances, you're using that to become conscious. You're looking to peel the curtains aside. Ultimately, for you to be able to fully pull the curtain aside, the biggest lesson that the role is playing is teaching you acceptance. I mean, if you think about it, go back to the basics in the WTF, all right? What's the opposite of judgment? Or the opposite of judgment is acceptance. We talk about that. Is to accept. That is the biggest role that I've had to learn. It's to accept. Now, you can't pull the curtain aside if you don't have acceptance. You can't even attempt to look at where the curtain starts or ends if you're having an emotional reaction. That's why this is the work of the soul here. This is not about reclaiming power. Okay? It kind of is, but it's different, as I just explained to you. If you're having an emotional reaction, this goes out. It's like go back to OMG. Go back to the reclaiming power. but if there is no emotions, like, I mean, when I say no emotions, that you are in your center. When you are in your center, you have the ability to pull the curtain aside. And I'll leave this with you guys as well to ponder on. Again, to simplify. I simplified last week by talking about, it's just love and fear. You are controlled, right? You are perceiving your duality through love and fear. But the love is the love of needing to be loved, and the fear is, well, everything that stems from fear. To be afraid, to be angry, to hate. You are moved only two ways. Through this game of duality, and it is a game, through this game of duality, you are moved only two ways. One is through your thinking, the other is through your feeling. Now, there is another that I've been speaking about quite a lot called your emotions. Now, your emotions are your reactions to your thinking. Your emotions are your reactions to how you're seeing what's happening to you. Your emotions are your reactions to your circumstances, right? There is your thinking and there is your feeling. I'm trying to simplify this for you guys. There is your thinking and there is your feeling. When you are with your feeling and you are moved and you follow your feeling, and I've said this to you guys so many times, why do you follow your feeling? Go back to basic OMG. Most people think they follow the feeling because they're going to be happier, because they're going to get better outcome or results in their life. No. When you're following the feeling, you are happy. It comes from happiness. It comes from joy. It's one level deeper than happiness. Happiness comes from the story. Joy comes from the formless. So you're not looking for happiness in that moment. You are happy. The reason you follow the feeling is the more you follow the feeling, the more you become familiar with it. In other words, the more you become it. Make no mistake, every time you follow the feeling, the true feeling, not the emotion, don't confuse the two. Every time you follow the feeling, you are the one. Every time. But remember, the feeling doesn't have a reason. It's not doing it to get happiness. It's already joyful. The process becomes about sharing that. It becomes about giving that, not about how you can get from whatever it is that you're looking to do. When you allow the thinking to move you by itself, you're in the game of lots of roles. When you find yourself and you find a sense of completion, and these are some of the confusion that was coming at the end. I listened to last week's recording before I got into this call today, because I wanted to see where you guys were at. Where do we leave this? When you get to a point, and again, I was just talking about this with the FTW guys earlier on this morning, but when you get to a point when you are no longer playing a role, you are then choosing whatever it is that I don't want to confuse it. That is when you have free will. You hear me talk about this all the time. People in WTF, I say, do people have free will? Yes, they do have free will. But most people, 99% of the population, don't use the free will. They don't know how to use the free will. Why? Because it's conditioned will. I call it influence will. What's it influenced by? Your roles. Where's your roles? What you're conditioned by. All your conditioning. And what's your conditioning? you're either, and if you focused on yourself to see how you play a role, your conditioning is to get people to love you. Again, I'm trying to simplify it for you. And we're going to speak more about this in upcoming modules, upcoming months, in the next few months. But when I say when you're following the feeling, right? Don't make it into something outside of you. It's right here. It's moving as you. It's in your breath as you breathe in. It's in this moment. When you are responding to life from this moment and you have the ability to stay in the moment, you are the one. Don't make this one something like what happens in religion or in other philosophies, where the one or the power, whatever the power is, whatever it is you believe, is something outside of you. I'm telling you guys, this is you. And I'm telling you, you have experienced this, otherwise you wouldn't be sitting here listening to me. Some of you have been listening with me and working with me for over 10 years, some 5, some 1. You wouldn't still be here unless you are familiar with what I'm talking to you about. Now, I know what happens though. You follow the feeling and then the roles come in. The conditioning comes in and takes over. I get it. And that's why this is very important for you to start to see the role. What is the role? Who's playing the role? And when I say what is the role, it's like, I mean, what is it showing you? What is it teaching you? And again, if you're not having an emotional reaction, you could do that. And then who's playing that role? Curtain aside. And you can't, and I know you will all say, it's me as the one. I know there's an intellectual understanding of it. I'm telling you, when you pull the curtain aside, there's just gonna, it's, you know when I shared with you the view? When you see the view, what I'm doing, I'm lending you my view. But you are seeing what I shared with you, you are seeing it. If someone does not see that, please contact me and let me know. I haven't had, everyone that I've shared that with, they think it's very profound. You are seeing what I'm seeing. I shared it to you. You are viewing that. It's the same. When you pull the curtain aside, you see. You're not seeing with these eyes. That's all I can tell you. But you're seeing. You're seeing what I shared with you. So these roles are all playing to either keep you unconscious or keep you conscious. Well, you guys are listening to this. The role is there to keep you, to make you conscious. It's there to get you to remember. But the best way for you to remember is for you to be able to, it's to remove the biggest curtain that you have. We're talking about peeling the curtain. The people that play the role for us, we're moving the curtain and seeing the puppet and realizing that there's a hand that's moving the puppet and realizing it's our hand. That's the view. And you're like, oh. And the enormity of love that you feel there is unexplainable. But the biggest curtain is right here. It's your curtain. And that's why I say the biggest thing the role is there to teach you or give to you is to teach you how to accept. Because acceptance opens this curtain. Because if you don't know how to accept, you're just judging. This person is doing this to me. That person is giving to me. That person is providing for me. That person is taking from me. That's all judgment. All you're doing is you're continuously putting power in things. And then you become in need of the one that's providing you if you can't see who is really providing you. And continuously looking at and feeling unsafe from the one that you are afraid of, the one that you hate. So I just, wanted to make sure you remember that the biggest curtain is in yourself, and that curtain is acceptance. Personally, there's and I know that this is not just limited to me. I know this is for everyone. The biggest people that played a role for me are the people in my family. And the biggest things they taught me is how to accept. Because when you first start this, you can all see the roles. You can, like you're starting to talk to someone. I started to talk about this last week. I talked about, it's like going to the Matrix, right? Imagine the movie The Matrix. You go to the Matrix. Everyone in the Matrix is programmed. They're just programmed, right? And you can see some of this programming. Sometimes you go and sit down for somebody for lunch and you don't feel to. And you're like, and I'm like, well, why don't you feel to? Jamie talked about this person giving him a hug last week. Every morning she would walk in and she would, not just for Jamie, and give everyone a hug. Now, Jamie didn't feel to. Why? Because she didn't meet his standards. No, I'm kidding. I try to say that with a straight face. I couldn't do it. No, but because he could feel that she was doing it out of need. Right? She wanted to maybe fit into the group, or maybe she wanted to get more, whatever it was for her. It was a role. So going into the Matrix, and imagine, I'm trying to give you examples of how you see the role. You sit down with somebody, right? And you can see they're unhappy, they're sad, but they tell you how great their life is. Their role is to just come there and just fill your mind with how amazing life is. Or the opposite. Their role is to come and tell you how fearful life is. You should be afraid. We should be afraid. And every time you sit down with this person, you're like, because they've got no choice but to play the pattern, to play the role. You know this. You've experienced this with people. Who've experienced something like this? Put your hand up. I can see you all. Okay? You've all experienced it. You can experience it. And you're like, I don't want to sit down with this person. Why? Because you can see the role they play. What do you say? And this is what I was trying to give you the example of going to the Matrix. If you go into the Matrix, everyone in the Matrix is just playing a role. Like you want to sit down with someone where the feeling is moving them. Otherwise, you just know what you're in for. It's not real. They're just going to tell you the same repeated story. Know someone that you sit down with all the time who just repeats it, and you're like, Dad, I've heard that story before. He's like, no. But did I tell you the time? And Dad, you've already told me that one. I think Cam finished off the recording last week about asking. I think this is where we were going, and I'll find, if I'm wrong, we can talk about it anyway. But this story with Kira has come up. Kira went up to my mother and she gave her a gift. And I listened to the recording, and in the recording I said my mother not only rejected her gift, she walked away. She didn't actually walk away. She just went, no. She just went, what actually happened was Kira went and bought this gift. We're in a gift shop. We're at the airport. We're about to get on the plane. And we're all at this gift shop waiting for the gate to open. Kira buys this gift, goes, Lily, I got you this gift. And my mum just looks at her and goes, no, and just stands there. So we're all standing there going, and I'm like, oh, this is so awkward, right? And one of the people's question to me is, well, you know, what's your mum's experience there? Because we talked about Kira's experience. Kira was looking for greater love. She's looking, there's a reason that Kira did that, right? And I guess the question, we just spoke about this in the FTW group, the question is, do you just start saying no to everyone where you can see they're playing a game? It just depends. You know, I could be sitting down, and I'll use the same example I used with the other guys. I could be sitting down with someone. It's like when I use the example, if I'm going to speak to my kids, I'm going to speak to them at a different level. I don't expect them to, just not even talking about the truth, just talking about anything to life. You're going to meet your children where they're at. Like if they say, no, Daddy, I don't want to do that, you got to go, oh, why? How are you feeling about that? You know, you got to meet them where they're at, because they're children. They're still developing that. But with the example of Kira, like she knows this. You know this. When she goes and buys something to attain my mother's love, or to attain anyone's love, my mother doesn't need to then meet her. I always talk about meet people where they're at. You meet people. I always, when I'm speaking about this stuff, I continuously meet people where they're at. Right now I'm meeting you where you're at, because I'm listening to you guys and I'm going, I can see where you're at. I need to simplify this more. And I'm pushing myself right now. I'm urging myself to simplify it. But if someone's role is not open, and in that moment with Kira, she wasn't, right? If someone's role is to show up in front of you and is not open to see their possibilities in that moment, they're showing up and they're just like, give me the attention. I'm not looking to do the work. Give me it. It's no, was the answer. Here's the thing. When you finish playing all the roles, nobody can play the roles with you. People around you will still have roles, but they can't play that role with you. And nor do you have to entertain it. Understand why I'm saying that. Ultimately, you're here to be an infinite being in a finite world. When you become an infinite being in a finite world, you're not playing any roles anymore. So do you think the ones that you gave the role to, do you think they can come and play a role with you? The game changes. This is the part where I'm talking about, it's phase 3. This is where what you're willing is not influenced. It's not influenced from a role. It's not influenced from your conditionings. So when you say, you know, I'm going to go and do this, I'm going to go live in this country, you don't have all these conditionings flooding in going, or limitations going, but you can't because of this, because of this, because of this, because it doesn't come into you. The outside really is there to move for you. I call it the outside, but you know, and now with the view, you know, it's the inside. Anyway, I just wanted to, I don't know if I simplified it for you or not, or if I complicated it.